Well, I think we can officially begin. As mentioned, I just want to welcome you to our webinar on how to read and use your strategic feedback report. I believe all of you, our cities, have already received it from your national offices. So thank you very much for being here. And then we start. If we can go to the next slide. Yes, so just to mention, I'm Andrea Cantillo. I'm one of the facilitators from BVF who is going to be here today. I'm part of the OPCC global team. We also have City Friberg, also part of BVF cities, part of the technical team, and we're going to have a panel in which we're going to have Pelin from the city of Istanbul and Björn from Sustainability Advantage, who's also a senior climate advisor to BVF. For the purpose and also agenda of this webinar, we really want to give you, our cities, behind the scenes of the strategic feedback report, have a walk through it, but then also give you inspiration on how you can use it, how other cities have used it, and then maybe also, how it can help you in your climate action, basically. And then, of course, we want to give you the opportunity to ask questions. So we will do all of those in that order, just after an introduction. But before we go into the introduction, sorry, Zoom just wrote me something. Before the introduction, we can go to the next slide, just to some housekeeping rules. Yes, so as I mentioned before, if you could please change your name here in Zoom so we know what city you're coming from. Also, please remember to keep yourself muted if you're not speaking. And we have interpretation in Turkish, which you find just below your Zoom menu. You have a little globe, and then you can click on there, Turkish or English, because for our panel, our city guest is going to be speaking in Turkish. So for the rest, it's good that you also know that we have that option for you to click English to be able to listen in. And if I could ask our colleagues, Tanieli and Sirka, to write this in Turkish in the channel. So our guests also know to join the channel, that would be great. And please feel free to use the chat. You are very, very invited to use it, to share your thoughts and comments. There are no stupid questions at all. And most importantly, open your strategic feedback report so you can walk through it while we go through it ourselves as well in the webinar. Yeah, so now for the next slide. For introduction, we of course wanted to remind why we are here, why we're working in climate change. We have seen that 2023 was the warmest year on record. We actually had a year of above 1.5 degrees Celsius, which, well, it's not great, but that is why we're working, so we don't end up surpassing that for many years and then end up exceeding the climate goal of the Paris Agreement. Luckily, if we go to the next slide, we are seeing some solutions happening already, some advancements to drive us in the right direction. Like, for example, we have more renewable energy capacity right now in the world, around 50% more we earned. And then we see also that the US, for example, has reduced 1.9% of their emissions while also achieving economic growth. And then also that the EU pumped out 8% less of CO2 from fossil fuel burning in 2022 than in comparison to 2022. Yes, and then bringing it even more to our topic and to us in the next slide, we see how this climate arena, this global climate arena, has been recognizing even more what we all already knew. Which is just awesome to see the development of that. But the fact that cities are crucial in this task. They are crucial for the world to achieve the 1.5 alignment target or goal. So, for example, in COP28, we saw the we saw that the presidency-led local climate action summit. We had the CHAMP pledge, which basically tells us or goes for national governments to work with subnational governments for their NDCs, for their plans, and for all the implementation around climate action, which is very, very great. And then in the global stock take, which is what was being negotiated in COP28, we also saw the role of an active engagement of non-party stakeholders. And as well, we have seen from the UNFCCC, we saw a report of Integrity Matters that looks to increase ambition and transparency for cities. And then we're very happy because one of our tech team members, Tabare, he's part of that working group that the UNFCCC put together in order to drive these recommendations for cities. Yes, and then also just to mention that the IPCC will draft as well a special report on how cities should work in climate change and their role in it. So if we just go forward, just want to mention that exactly this is what we want to do. This is what we want to see. We want more climate action from cities. This is what we're striving for in the One Planet City Challenge, and we're very happy that we have more than 350 cities in this round from more than 70 countries. And then more than 900 cities have joined us since the start. I will just mention in the next slide, we can see that right now, this is our cycle for the OPCC. Our cities have gone through submitting data, and now we have done the assessment and feedback, and that is why you have gotten your strategic feedback report. And then from that, if we go to the next slide, we can see this vision and impact and how our cities are behaving in this matter with our new method. But I believe with that, I will leave you to Siri, who is going to go through our report in a more detailed manner.
Thank you, Andrea. Can you hear me well?
Yes.
Perfect. Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Siri Friberg Guslan, and in this presentation, we will look at how to read your strategic feedback report. And if at any point you have any questions or comments, I warmly welcome and encourage you to put those in the chat, and then my brilliant tech colleague Gara will respond to you there. So without any further ado, let's get started. So the first question we might ask ourselves is, why do we have a strategic feedback report? And the main purpose of the report is to help you recognize what your city or local government is doing well, but also, and more importantly, highlight what opportunities your city has to improve. And in the report, we do this by providing you with an overview of your climate action that highlights both your strengths, but also your weaknesses. Furthermore, the report can also help you create compelling arguments to gain support for strengthening action. And finally, as the report sheds light not only on the areas of improvement, but also on what you're doing well, it can help you get recognition for those efforts and inspire other cities to follow. Now, how do we produce this feedback? In the OPCC, we use a collection of methods and criteria that we call the OPCC Assessment Framework. And we use this framework to measure your city's level of vision and your city's level of impact. So where you want to go and how you plan to get there. Now, the framework consists of 3 components. First of all, the data integrity diagnosis, which is what we used to produce your GAPS report. The scoring criteria, which is what we use to quantitatively evaluate your city's vision and impact. And the complementary methods, which is what we use to generate the prospective feedback. And I will talk a bit more about these complementary methods later when we look at the report more in detail. But if you want to take a closer look at all the components of the framework, which I would, of course, warmly recommend that you do, You can find a detailed description of these in the technical document that is located on our website. And I believe that my colleague will share a link to this document in the chat as well. Now, for today's session, we will focus on the following elements of the report: your vision and impact, your city's climate journey steps, the assessment of your hazards and greenhouse gas emissions, your targets and actions, and finally, some prospective recommendations to your climate action. So let's have a look. In your reports on page 5, we have a graph showing the overall results of the assessment of your city. And you can use this graph to see how strong and well-balanced your goals and actions are. Furthermore, if we take a closer look, and I hope you can see them on your screens, there are these several small gray crosses, and these crosses represent other participants from your country. So you can also use the graph to get an idea of how your efforts compare to other cities and to gain an awareness of what the climate leadership picture looks like in your country. Moving on to pages 6 and 7, we have the climate journey steps. I'm just going to click once more. And this is a concept that we have borrowed from GCOM to try and provide more clarity around which steps or stages that cities should follow to improve their climate action. So let's take a look at the different steps. The first step is to assess your greenhouse gas emissions and identify the hazards that your cities face. Then, when we have that overview in place, we can move on to step 2. And this is where we set mitigation targets to reduce the calculated emissions and adaptation goals to address the identified risks. And once we've set the targets and goals, we can move on to step 3. And this is where we develop action plans directed towards achieving the targets and goals that we set in the previous stage. Then in step 4, we implement the strategies and actions that we identified in the plans. And then finally, in step 5, we monitor to keep track of our progress and to adapt our plans as needed. And in your report, these climate journey steps are visualized on page 7. And in the tree diagram, this is called a tree diagram, you can see the aggregated results of your city per journey step. And rather than looking at the specific scores here, what we would encourage you to do is to interpret the results in terms of the opportunities that it offers, whether it's in the design stage, implementation stage, monitoring stage. Use the diagram to help you prioritize where to direct your efforts. Moving on to risks and emissions. So on page 8, we have 8 different icons that visualize what elements should be included in a city's CRVA, or Climate Risk and Vulnerability Assessment. And the elements that you have included will be colored in this green or teal color. But then again, maybe of more interest are the gray or blank elements, because these are the ones that point you to other areas of opportunities that you can include in your assessment as you move forward with your work. And on page 9, there is a Sankey diagram that illustrates how your reported greenhouse gas emissions are distributed across sectors and scopes of emissions. And here we encourage that you analyze the graph to identify what areas might be in need of stronger climate targets and what strategies are more relevant to reduce your emissions. Now, I'm going to go one back. So as part of the assessment, we also revise your city's adaptation goals, mitigation targets, and your energy access and poverty targets, which you can find on pages 10 to 12 in your report. And now I can click. So with regards to the mitigation targets, we analyze how your targets compare to the Paris Agreement's most ambitious target of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees. And to do this, we use the OPCC 1.5 degree alignment method. And this is a method recognized by the Science Based Targets Network, and it's actually also one of the components of the complementary methods that I mentioned earlier. And on page 11 in your report, this graph tells you how close to or how far away from you are from the benchmarks defined by the OPCC method. Then, let's see, on page 12, there is a bar chart that compares your total greenhouse gas emissions in yellow versus your planned greenhouse gas emissions reductions marked in gray across different sectors. And this graph can help you identify which areas need stronger climate action, and it can therefore help you develop a mitigation action plan to reduce the gap between your targets and your emissions. Finally, pages 13 to 16 in the report includes the prospective potential actions that cities can take, both related to mitigation and adaptation. And on page 13, there is a table showing potential mitigation actions for your city. And which actions we have suggested depends on two things. First, it depends on your city's physical characteristics and the physical characteristics. And second, it depends on the regional context of your city. And based on this information, we suggest strategies inspired by the IPCC AR6 report that can lead to the greatest positive cascading effects in your city. And actually also, if you click in the report on the suggested actions, you can see some examples from other cities. Then, with regards to adaptation, we have a threefold table. And the first column looks at what level of risk your reported hazards pose today and what level of risk they are expected to pose in the future, with a traffic light coding system to signal which risks have a greater urgency. The second column in this table looks at how these hazards are currently being addressed today. And then the third column suggests what actions can be applied to address them in the future. And these suggestions are based on other cities' similar experience with those hazards in the region. Yes, and again, if you want to have a closer look at either the complementary methods that we went through now or any of the other components of the OPCC assessment framework, you can find all of the details in the technical document that I mentioned earlier that you can find on our website and that my colleague shared in the chat. So with this, we have reached the end of my presentation. Please keep posting any questions in the chat. Gara and myself will respond to you there. And yeah, thanks for your attention. And I give the word back to you, Andrea.
Yes, thank you, Siri, for that walkthrough of the report. We saw already some questions in the chat, so please keep them coming. And then this gives us time to go to our next section of the webinar, which is our panel. So I first want to invite and say thank you to Pelin from the city of Istanbul for joining us. Thank you very, very much for coming here. And as part of the panel, we will also have Bjorn from Sustainable Advantage and Senior Climate Advisor to WWF. So I'm just adding a spotlight to you guys, and I think we can go out of the presentation for now, as we will be just speaking among ourselves. And I think just since we're going now out from this excellent presentation of City, I want to first ask you, Bjorn, because you know a little bit more of the behind the scenes as well of what happened with the report. So under that knowledge that you have, what has struck you more about how it was built? Like what might give cities what would you say will give cities the confidence to use the report from how it has been created?
Right. Thank you for that question, Andrea, and thank you for inviting me. And hello, Pelin. Nice to be with you all in this panel and this webinar. I have a background as a city climate strategist myself. I've been working in Stockholm and Uppsala for about 20 years, and being part of the OPCC for maybe, well, since the beginning, really, 2011. And I have seen how this whole challenge has developed so much over the years, and particularly over the last rounds, it's really has flourished. And I think that the key point to the value for cities to participate in the challenge and receiving this feedback report is that it's individual. It is to each city, and every city get it at whatever stage of their climate journey they are. They will receive an individual feedback. And I think that is also, I think it's also important that it is the WWF who do this, because this gives a climate strategist like me, I used to be, an outside voice, a third-party voice, a credible third-party voice to say that, well, this is how it looks, your work, and here is your improvement areas, and here is where you do really good, and here is an explanation of what you can do more. So I think that's really good in general. And secondly, I think it's extremely rich in content. So there's a lot of it. It's actually everything you need to know about climate strategic work in a nutshell. It's all, you know, compressed from city experience, from city experts around the world, from the IPCC. And I think that this year it's even richer. And I think maybe we can get back to that, but I think also one new feature that we could have a look at is the strategy advices for climate mitigation actions. That is taken, the basis is taken from the IPCC reports in 2022. Yeah, so I think it's a whole universe there.
Nice. Well, now I'm very curious on what you're saying of this whole universe. And then maybe a little bit more. Can you just share, did you just how do you say this, just nudge a little bit there or poke into the strategy advices on the IPCC? Is there anything else maybe that can be said in there? Or
well, let me think about that, and let's invite.
Sorry.
I'd like to hear Pauline also. What is your view on?
Oh, I think, did I lose the last bit you said, Björn? Or like, was it just me, or was it more people? But well, in the meantime, I can, yes, definitely. Very nice to have you here, Pauline, as mentioned. And as Björn also had just mentioned, the OPCC has been going for many years now. And then we know that Istanbul has also participated in our previous rounds, and especially our previous round. And we know from our national office that you've had very nice development since this last round. So I just want to ask you, from the last round, maybe what lessons did you learn from the strategic feedback report, or what did you get from me to help you in the work that you've been doing over these years?
Öncelikle herkese merhabalar. WWF böyle bir platformda deneyimlerimizi aktarmak için bize alan açtığı için çok teşekkür ederiz tüm ekibe. Bu stratejik belgenin bize geri bildirim olarak sunulması bizim için çok büyük bir şans öncelikle. Biz CDP raporlama skorlamamızı bir doğrusal olarak yükselme gözlemledik. Öncelikle 2018 ve 2019'da D, 2020'de C, 21 ve 22'de B ve 2023'ü de A alarak güzel bir başarıyla noktaladık. Bu noktada bir ekip oluşturduk öncelikle. Ekip arkadaşlarım da burada yanımdalar destek olmak için. Biz bu raporlamayı yaparken öncelikli olarak motivasyonumuz A alan şehirlerin nasıl bu başarıya ulaştığını incelemek oldu ve mevcut durumumuzu ortaya koyma niyetiyle yola çıktık. Sonrasında geçen sene aldığımız bu geri bildirim raporunda eksik olduğumuz yönleri görerek öncelikli olarak bu eksiklerin tamamlanması, daha iyi olduğumuz noktalarda da bir tık ileri giderek bunu raporlamaya yansıtmayı hedefledik. Fakat İstanbul Büyükşehir Belediyesi takdir edersiniz ki çok büyük bir kurum ve 100.000'e yakın bir çalışan kapasitesine sahip. Bu noktada her sektörel birimin yaptığı iş kendi özelinde hedefleri ve iklim değişikliğine azaltım ve uyum noktasında ilerledikleri görev ve yetkileri çok farklı. Öncelikli olarak biz eksik olduğumuz noktaları bu ekiple bir araya gelerek masaya yatırdık. Ve bu bahsetmiş olduğum 100.000 çalışanlık bir kurumda bunu her kuruma iletmek ve bu aslında bir birim başarısı değil, bir kurum başarısı, bir şehir başarısı olarak onların da bunu benimsemesini sağladık. Sektörel toplantılar yaparak eksik olduğumuz sektörlerde nasıl bir ilerleme kaydedebiliriz? Bunları hep birlikte değerlendirdik. Yine geri bildirim raporunda özellikle enerji sektörüne yönelik ciddi bir eksiklik olduğunu gözlemledik. Bu noktada bizim şehir olarak, İstanbul Büyükşehir Belediyesi olarak belli yetki alanlarımız bulunmakta. Bu yetki alanlarının dışında kalan kısımlar da merkezi hükümet tarafından yönetilmekte. Burada biz İBB olarak enerji sektöründe neler yapabiliriz ve bu iyileştirmeyi hangi noktalarda sağlayabiliriz diye biraz hızlandırmak için ivme kazandırdık diyebilirim. Bu noktada kurumsal envanterimizi yapma kararı, hazırlama, hesaplama kararı aldık. Ve bunu da gelecek yıllarda yine raporlamanın kurumsal kısmına raporlamayı planlıyoruz. Onun dışında kendi binalarımıza yönelik enerji tasarrufuna yönelik eylemleri hızlandırılmasında birimlerimizi teşvik etmeye çalıştık. Aynı zamanda daha önceki yıllarda raporlamış olduğumuz azaltım hedeflerimizi daha detaylı olarak rapora yansıttık. Bu noktada yine aynı şekilde uyum eylemlerimizi de raporlamada daha geniş, sektörel anlamda daha geniş noktalarda raporlamaya çalıştık. Bize en güzel geri bildirimi bu raporun kurumsal olarak kapasitenin daha da arttırılmasına yönelik bir motivasyon sağladı açıkçası. Her birimle raporlama sürecinde ayrı ayrı görüşme fırsatı yakaladık. Bizim kendi içimizde her birimimizden görevli iklim sorumluları belirlemiştik. Bu iklim sorumlularına daha öncesinde bu raporlamaya dair bilgisi olmayanlar vardı. Bu noktada onlara raporlama sürecini anlatmak ve onlardan raporlamada önümüze çıkan soruları daha doğru bir şekilde raporlamaya yansıtma fırsatı bulduk. O sebepten bu almış olduğumuz raporlama bizim için çok kıymetli ve şu an almış olduğumuz A puanını hem bir sonraki seneye bunun sürdürülebilirliğini sağlamak ve eylemleri ve rapor sorularına daha kapsamlı, daha kapsayıcı noktada cevaplanmak için önümüzdeki senede çok daha yüksek motivasyonla raporlamayı yapmayı planlıyoruz.
Oh, this is so great to hear. Thank you for sharing that. Well, it's great that you were able to identify gaps, that you were able to speak more with people within the municipality to strengthen your work. I mean, it sounds great. I'm already very excited about it. Can I ask you one follow-up question to what you said? And I also want to invite Bjorn, maybe if you have things to add up to what Pelin mentioned, but you mentioned that you were able to, it invited you to speak within the municipality with more people on climate matters and how to report. Can you just, I don't know, maybe share with your colleagues here that are all in the city arena and then maybe in similar roles, some tips on how to invite for those aspects, and maybe what helped you from the report to do that as well, if so?
Teşekkürler soru için. Bunu şu şekilde özetleyebilirim. Dediğim gibi biz çok büyük bir aileyiz. Bu noktada bizim kolaylaştırıcılarımız, iklim sorumlularımız oldu. Her birimden gerek sosyal birimlerimiz, gerekse doğrudan sektörün ulaşım, enerji, atık yönetimi, şu an sayamayacağım birçok noktada sektörel nasıl diyeyim temsilcilerimizle bir masaya oturduk. Onlara bu noktada bu raporlamanın şehir için ne kadar önemli olduğunu, bizim için çok büyük bir motivasyon kaynağı olduğunu öncelikle anlattık. Daha sonrasında aslında bu bize şöyle pozitif anlamda bir geri bildirim de oldu. Bu büyük bir aile olmanın getirdiği farklı dezavantajlar da oluyor. Farklı birimlerin yaptığı çalışmalardan birçok noktada belki haberimiz olmayabiliyor. Bu iletişimi kuvvetlendirmek adına birimlerden de böyle bir uluslararası platforma raporlama yaptığımızın bilgisini geçerek onların aslında yaptıkları işin gösterildiğini ve uluslararası bir platformda gösterildiğini duymak onları da motive eden çok büyük bir başlık oldu bu noktada. Bu sebepten odak grup toplantıları planlayarak onlarla gerek yüz yüze gerek online'da bir araya geldik. Bunun yanı sıra mail üzerinden raporlamada geçen soruları onlara daha da detaylı anlatmak ve onlara daha net bir şekilde ne istediğimizi ve bunların iklimle olan yaptıkları çalışmaların iklimle olan kesişmelerini aktarmaya çalıştık. Yoksa iklim konusuna kendini çok uzak hisseden birimlerimiz vardı. Mesela sosyal hizmetler birimine örnek verebilirim bunu. Bu noktada onların aslında dezavantajlı gruplara iklim değişikliği, azaltım ve uyum noktasında değebileceklerini birebir toplantılarımızda aktardık. Ve onlar da iklim değişikliğiyle yaptığı çalışmaların örtüşmesini anlayabilmelerini sağladık. Bu noktada hem meslektaşlarıma hem yerel yönetimde görevli herkese bunu gerçekten yapabilirler ve bunu diğer sektör çalışanlarına çok büyük bir motivasyon sağlayabildiklerini bu çalışmalar sonrasında onlara geri bildirim olarak döneceklerini emin olun görebilirler. Bu noktada tüm kalbimle bunu paylaşabilirim burada.
Oh, how great. This sounds very, very exciting. It sounds like great work. Bjorn, I invite you if you want to mention or talk anything around what Pelin said, but also at the same time invite you to maybe share from your view as well, what other recommendations you would give for a city on how to use the strategic feedback report, what aspects maybe they should be looking at.
I think I would like to congratulate Pelin and Izmir to it looks like a really great
Istanbul.
work involving so many colleagues and departments and so on. I think you set an example of really how to use the report, the feedback report, and the work itself, the whole thing. I think that's something to learn from and inspire from other cities. I think as a general idea, the report is made, as I see it, in a very nice layout way and infographics and graphs, so with the idea that it should be easy to show and communicate and center a dialogue around. But I would really encourage all cities to use it for communication with your colleagues, your team and colleagues and climate champions in department and things like that, but also show it to your political level. Show the main pages like your vision and impact. Where are you compared to other cities? Where are you in your journey? How strong are you in your journey? And of course, most important for the political level, do we have a fair climate mitigation target in line with the Paris Agreement, or do we not have it? Do we need to sharpen to set the target for the community? So I think really encourage. I can hear sometimes from my Swedish cities fellows that they keep it within the city administration, but show it for the political level, and show it and talk to it also with your stakeholders that you collaborate with. Because this is also a way to encourage companies, organizations, people to make further steps and so on. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Well, I see that we are connecting dots here on your experience Pelin in Istanbul, and also from what you're saying, Bjorn, on the opportunity that it gives to truly share around. So as I'm just repeating what you just mentioned, Bjorn, but just the importance and the opportunity that it gives to show the work that is being done or that needs to be done in another manner. Due to the graphics and so on. So that is great. And then also, of course, what you mentioned, Pelin, of being able to see maybe where work was needed, like, for example, in the energy aspect for you guys. I'm a little bit aware of time now. So I will just want to ask if any of you have anything final thing that you would want to share or say about how the use and so of the report, and if not, maybe we go to the questions. But please do take the word if there is anything else from your side.
Ben bir şey eklemek istiyorum bu noktada. İklim eylemlerinin uygulanmasında siyasi liderliğin önemine de biraz değinmek istiyorum. Biz İstanbul Büyükşehir Belediyesi olarak yeşil, adil ve yaratıcı İstanbul vizyonuyla bu çalışmalara başladık aslında. Bu noktada yöneticilerin bu vizyonun devamında hareket etmesi bizim eylemlerimize ulaşmamızda çok önemli bir başlık olarak geçiyor. Biz bu vizyon kapsamında yeşil şehir planı, sürdürülebilir eylem ve iklim değişikliği planı ve karbon nötr şehirler taahhüdüne başlamış bir şehir olarak bunu söyleyebilirim ki siz bunu eğer en yüksekten bir hedef olarak koyduğunuzda emin olun sonrası bu hedefler doğrultusunda çok daha hızlı bir şekilde geliyor. Bu noktada biz aldığımız bu seneki A puanını da bir politik taahhütler noktasında zaten geri bildirim strateji planında da bize bu bildirilmişti. Politik taahhütler noktasında çok yüksek bir puan aldık. Bunu vizyon olarak benimseyip sonrasında bu raporlama süreci, eylemlerin gelişi birbirini takip eden bir zincir noktasında devam ediyor. Bunu son olarak belirtmek istedim. Teşekkür ederim.
Thank you. I think that's an excellent remark to make about the importance, and also very related to what Bjorn was sharing on, also putting it out there to political, the higher political level or higher management. I think I will move us on now to the Q&A to see if maybe our cities have any questions, but thank you so much again, Pelin and Bjorn, for sharing your experiences and your views. Very, very inspiring. And just congrats on all the work that is being done. I'm left with a lot of energy. I will just remove the spotlight from all of us and then open the floor for everyone. Please, if there are any questions to maybe that you have for our city guests, for our panel, or in terms of your reports on how the report was built and so on.
Andrea, I could perhaps just share from the chat that there are some questions related to if you don't see data in the report, like graphs are missing or the data is not complete, how should you interpret that and how should you work when that is the case to still be able to use the report and so on?
Great question. Maybe we can give that question to Gara and Bjorn, who would want to take it.
I can contribute with one piece, and that is in October, all cities, if you I hope all cities, cities, almost most cities should have received the so-called gap report, and here are very much the details on your reporting, and there is where you can get a first understanding of how to report. Do enough reporting so that it will be able to show something back in your feedback report, that there are enough data points or reporting points. So that is the first, and as we advise you to get in contact also with your national office or the help desk of OPCC to explore further.
Would you add anything to that, Gara? Or?
No, I think that's an excellent response. So I don't think I can add anything.
Awesome. Do we have, I just wanted to share that there were some questions about what AFOLU and IPPU means. So maybe everyone has read the answers already in the chat, but good to mention here as well. That AFOLU means agriculture, forestry, and other land use, and IPPU makes reference to industrial processes and product use. Yes, do you see maybe other questions, Sabina, in the chat you have seen to share?
Yes, there are lots of activity here, and don't be shy, speak up. I can see one question here. So if you have traffic going through the city, this is a city from Sweden. We have traffic going through the city where we do not have control. How are these types of questions handled in your assessment?
I can give you another answer. Not how it is handled, but how should we look upon as a city questions that are outside our mandate. And I think the whole idea with this, with the One Planet City Challenge, the main idea is to talk about the geographical area, the community as such. And I think the whole idea is that we encourage, and I encourage, all cities, councils, the political level, to take targets, mitigation targets, for the whole of the community. And that means that because it is so important that the political level sets a target for the community, say, this is what we need to do together, and then show political leadership and inviting everybody, all stakeholders and cities, to work for that target. So that is the important thing. And to show that well, we have some things to do more and to push for that. So it's not, nobody's holding a city accountable for not being able to do something about through traffic. But it is very important to show, and the report, the feedback report, based on your data, show the total of your emissions as you as a community need to address somehow, cooperating with government, etc. and so on. And this is the same for all cities, and nobody expects the city council and city administration to do everything.
Thank you, Björn, for that. I think we had a question around targets in the chat. So maybe I will just give the word to Gara to address this question from Lisanda in terms of the methodologies of the target.
Sure. I think if I quickly read the question, which is interested in knowing the consultation between partners or role players of the SBT framework, the Science-Based Targets framework. So maybe I can just comment that there are different methodologies used for setting greenhouse gas emission reduction targets, and some of them including C40 deadline 2020, and then as part of the OPCC assessment framework, we focus on the OPCC 1.5 degree alignment method. And sometimes due to the different approaches and assumptions that the different methods take, some of the results might look slightly different. And what we encourage from our, oops, sorry, some message came up from Zoom. What we encourage from our side, from WWF, is that the OPCC 1.5 alignment method gives us benchmarks for guidance. So it's not sort of a yes or no answer, or it's not a very black and white sort of assessment, but rather where should we be aiming towards from a method based in science. So and of course, the more methods that we have, the more stronger that our analysis can be, and probably it's good to keep different results in mind. But yeah, I hope that answers the question. And yes, thank you, Lisandra.
Thank you for that, Cara. Sabina wrote very, very good that you wrote this, Sabina. Thank you for doing that. But I will just repeat it for people that if you want to take the question, you're also welcome to raise your hand, and then we will give you the word. But Sabina, do you see maybe other questions to bring up here?
Let's see. Well, I think a general question that maybe is interesting to Pelin and Björn, maybe, and everyone here. Do you think that there are any special aspects of the feedback report that is especially important or relevant for the current climate emergency situation for your work? So that something that you have seen that is especially important or interesting right now? Maybe over to Björn first, or
I think Pelin maybe is
yeah, Pelin.
Pelin, are you? I think you started to say something. Yes,
Evet.
please.
Evet. Şu noktada bir ekleme yapabilirim belki. Azaltım hedeflerine yönelik sektörel anlamdaki geri bildirimler bizim için çok kıymetli oldu. Özellikle bahsettiğim gibi enerji konusunda azaltım hedeflerinin az önce de konusu geçti, yetki alanı ve yetki alanı dışında kalan kısımlara yönelik geri bildirimler bizim için çok kıymetli oldu. O noktada hedefi sağlamak açısından sektörel azaltım eylemlerine yönelik geri bildirimler öncelikli olarak bizim odaklandığımız kısımlar oldu.
I could add, I think I really would like to highlight and push for page 13, where all cities will find recommended mitigation strategies that are tailored to your cities in terms of how dense it is or not, and how rapid your population increase or decrease is. Here, WWF has condensated recommended mitigation strategies from the IPCC reports. And I think here this is a new feature of the feedback report, and you can really find a lot of inspiration on what should we focus on, and what are the main potential actions. And if you point, they are linked, so they will be a link to a site with inspirational examples from cities around the world. And I know that WWF really like to encourage all cities to come up with more ideas and examples, because I think this is also a community where you can share and get, you know, ideas and steal with proud and do the same. This worked for us, maybe it works for you. I think this is really somewhere where we can chip in our experiences and put up our own actions and plans and things that we have done to help other cities. So this is a really a page for community building of actions. Thank you.
That is a great highlight, Björn. Thank you for making reference to our urban solutions and inviting cities to also share them.
Yeah, Urban Solutions page on panda.org /OPCC, I believe. Is it like that? Yeah.
Maybe we can have someone share it in the chat.
Yeah, great.
Thank you, Björn, for that. I see, Samuel, that you have your hand up, so please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you very much, Andrea. And I think I just want to thank you, the OPCC team, for the reports that you've actually given us. And the feedback is spot on for most of the things that we've realized us from Wellington. By the way, I'm in Wellington in New Zealand. I think the report is spot on in our space. My concern, though, is twofold. You've done very well in highlighting the challenges that are the data issues that we have and the actions that we need to take. I would have loved in this feedback report also a bit of areas that highlight some of the challenges that we kind of highlighted in the report. And what do I mean by that? The challenges that we are facing are mostly in the areas of data. And I think methodologies, streamlining those and standardizing those, or essentially just gaining the best practice that we need. Then the third part is issues around governance. And it will be quite critical. And this is where my question is really, what kind of support can this platform provide for cities in those areas, either through exchange programs or anything that we can do in terms of city to city peer, mechanism of some kind, so that at least we can be able to share our ideas and our experiences and be able to see. One other issue that's just quite interesting is just the issue of setting targets. We've got the science-based targets and all these elements done, but the methodology is another thing altogether that we begin to need to get down to. I'll end there for now, but thank you again. The report has really been helpful.
Thank you so much, Samuel, and so nice to see you. We've been writing by email for several months, so nice to put a face. Yeah. I'll just
Same
say
here,
that.
same here.
Yeah. Oh, great. Thank you. Those are very interesting questions and very good ones. I will dare to go ahead myself and answer them, but please, if someone is sharing their screen. So thank you. I just go ahead and answer very quickly, and actually very in line with what we were going to say next. And it is that the different national offices are putting together different engagement initiatives. And we will communicate this to the cities. The national offices will do so because we definitely would like to give that opportunity for cities to have this peer-to-peer learning. And that's where the urban solutions also comes from, for cities to be able to share what they've done. And as Björn mentioned, for others to steal with pride. We do understand that speaking to each other also brings another kind of opportunity. So we also would want to do that, definitely. And in terms of setting targets, we are having some national offices, the core team for some cities as well, where we have had and probably will have a coaching session in terms of that to help the cities. strengthen the targets that they have and how to think about the methodology. I will sadly now close the Q&A. If Siri, you can help me share the slides again, but just keeping in mind the time of people, we will save the chat, and if anything was left unanswered, we will try to answer from our side, give your question to your national offices or to the OPCC help desk. So do keep them coming there. I think we want to go to the next to last, second to last slide, Siri. And that one, yes, thank you. So I've already shared what is up next in the OPCC in terms of your national offices having more engagement opportunities. But also when we go back into our 2-year cycle, as I mentioned at the beginning, we have the assessment and feedback right now, and now we're moving into the jury meetings. So from our assessment and feedback, some cities have been or are being selected to be shortlisted. And those shortlisted cities will go to the jury meetings to decide who will be national winners or global finalists. And then from those who will be taken into account to be one of our 2 global winners. Yes, and your national offices will get back to you on who those shortlisted cities are. And of course, yeah. So that's it from that side. And then we just want to invite you to please answer to a survey right here, to a poll. It's anonymous. So please go ahead and answer it. You should have it in your screen right now. We're asking you after this webinar, I understand how the report can support us in accelerating climate action. Please answer if you agree or not. And from the parts of the report, which ones are more interesting to you. This is an anonymous survey, just so you know. But if you could just take some minutes before we close. And then while you're doing that, I will just thank you very much for being part of this webinar. Thank you very much for our panelists and for all your very excellent questions. Yes. So we'll just leave the survey out there for some minutes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Samuel. Thank you, everyone. I see that some are saying thank you and goodbye. Thank you very much for being here. I hope you have a great day. And I'll also just take the chance to thank our excellent interpreters for helping us hold this panel in such a good manner. I believe we won't have more answers right now.